I have just come to the realization that guns are pointless in the MCU. Yes, I know I may be late to the party, but let me talk about this. What good is a pea shooter when you have beings capable of hurling cars like a dad hurls beers? Who needs a gun when you can be a regular guy one day and all of a sudden you're able to climb walls or use a car like a pair of boxing gloves? Things have gotten so fantastical in the MCU, which I'm realizing isn't too insane of a statement because there's literally a movie where a guy uses the souls of the damned as a cape. But don't get me wrong, it was to my understanding that this universe was supposed to be more grounded and relatable to us as regular people. I'm just saying. I feel like with all the stuff that's going on now, they're starting to lose the plot and fall victim to the more crazier aspects of living in a comic book universe. But things have gotten so comic book crazy that they've altogether minimized the effectiveness and overall perceived danger of guns in this universe as a whole. I mean, Captain America, you know, America, the country with 120 guns per 100 people, yeehaw by the way, doesn't even have a piece. I mean, we all remember him having a gun when he was fighting in the war, but after he got his new shield, he just dropped it? I mean, I get not using it as much, but he doesn't even have it on him anymore? Doesn't seem very American if you ask me. Or what about Falcon? Homie was straight up capping fools with his Akimbo Mac 10s in Civil War, but after then he just kind of stopped. There are many situations in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that would have been solved a lot quicker if our heroes made good use of their Second Amendment rights, at least the ones that are citizens. Is Vision American? But not only are the heroes losing their guns, but the villains as well? Can we agree that guns in the MCU have gone the way of the lightsaber? So much so that certain characters, no matter the odds, are able to walk out of a gunfight having only kicked and punched their way to safety. And you can make the argument that in a world of interdimensional aliens and lowercase g god beings, that using a gun is ineffective, or it will be anticlimactic for everyone to just up the pole and start blasting, but it's not like gunfights are even lame or anything. Winter Soldier and Civil War gave us perfect mix of gunplay and hand-to-hand combat. You start out far, close the gap, and duke it out. Pretty simple stuff. There's always at least one scene of a bad guy pulling out a pistol, and the second later they're dispatched like cannon fodder. But why do they still even have regular firearms to begin with? Where are the blasters and plasma rifles? And why is it usually in the hands of people we as the audience are supposed to see as villains? Could it be that Disney has a secret agenda to demonize guns in the eyes of their audience by completely removing it from the hands of the good guys and only having the bad ones make use of them? That actually might not be true, or it might question everything. I mean, hey, there has been no talk of bringing back the Punisher, even though people love that show. And I might add that in the comics he has given up his armaments for swords and ninjutsu. Very peculiar. What good are guns when most of the Avengers lineup can deflect and avoid? What good is a 1911 when it has been shown already that any person in universe can create weapons of mass destruction frequently and fairly easily? It's like all the bad guys and bullets have been given the same directive of only hitting the heavily fortified spots on an important character's costume or just straight up missing. And then there's this scene in Wakanda Forever.
An Ash!
Like, he's standing right in front of you. There's no way. Unless the suit is magnetized, it's literally a fish in a barrel. If I can't see a gun in a movie and feel like my heroes are in danger, then I don't want to see them. There's no reason for regular gunpowder-based weapons to still exist in the MCU. Characters like Hawkeye can run down swaths of people with a bow and arrow, even a sword, without the worry of gunfire. Kate Bishop was also able to do the same, both instances being some bullshit, and even Echo was able to somehow not get perforated when faced with an actual firing squad. And I think a bazooka at one point, to further push the ineffectiveness of guns in the MCU, Kingpin was literally shot in the face, but he came back in the show and was fine? Like, what a mess. Or even She-Hulk, when Titania? Shit character by the way, burst through the walls of a courtroom and started fighting the bailiffs. You're telling me none of them had the blicky? I googled it and yes, they're allowed firearms. They just sort of grappled with her until She-Hulk stepped in. There's no reason why government enforcers should not have some sort of advanced weaponry. I mean, they literally had the ability to inhibit Jennifer's She-Hulk transformation, but you're telling me nobody in a federal building had an ion cannon or something. This is just what happens when non-comic book readers make comic book shows. And I know I said there's no reason for guns to still exist, but we know they work. I mean, the main baddie in Falcon and the Winter Soldier was gunned down in the streets of Brazil. The whole show would have been over a lot faster if Falcon still had his max, or even Bucky with the LMG he had in Endgame. I mean, why did he stop carrying guns? He's literally just some guy. I'm beginning to realize that there was a lot of unnecessary hand-to-hand combat in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Even Spider-Man, the main street level hero for the MCU was like, guns, get out of here. The scene when he was in the car with the Vulture, was he even in danger? Of course not. Guns are literally like water pistols to a lot of people in this verse. But I personally believe that the Marvel Universe should be flooded with legal gun ownership. I mean, after an alien invasion, you'd think people would want a stronger presence for protecting themselves. It's not ridiculous to think that. I also believe that guns should be way more dangerous than presented. If we're supposed to feel that the stakes are raised when someone pulls out a freaking pistol, then these movies and TV shows need to show it, damn it. I mean, it makes sense for them to be a non-issue for heroes like Thor or Iron Man, but fucking Yelena? Be so for real. I now present to you my formal list of MCU characters that I could definitely just shoot in the face if they weren't paying attention or something. Every Dora Milaje. They aren't super soldiers, just bald women with spears. Okoye should be dead. There's no way she sits on top of a car in the middle of gunfire and is not turned into a Live League participant. Hawkeye, he's basically deaf. I think I just walk up behind him and give him a lobotomy. Same for Kate Bishop. She's just some girl. The final fight in the Hawkeye show should have ended too sweet if the Russians just stood at the edge of the ice rink and fired from a vantage. Steve Rogers and Bucky, definitely. Yes, they are shown deflecting gunfire with their shield and robot arm respectively, but Steve, you can just shoot at his feet. And with Bucky, his arm's not jacked enough to cover his whole head. Also, he has a squishy lower body. It's begging for bullets. Yeah, see, this looks cool. I'll give him that, but come on. Spider-Man. Now, I know some people may be in disbelief, but based on what we were treated to in the movies, I think I could reasonably. All I would have to do is use that gravity gun like it was shown in Homecoming, hold him in place, and put one between his eyes. And it wouldn't even be hard for me to get a hold of that kind of weaponry either. These weapons getting carted off to low-level thugs was literally a plot point for the movie. I'm pretty sure I could do it myself. Or just bullshit craft some kind of weaponry, because it has been shown in universe that anyone can pretty much do it. Echo. I mean, she's just some lady. Yeah, she has fight skills and an undetermined power set, but I feel like if I just stood more than 10 feet away from her, I could put her down like a dog. Sam Wilson, same thing with Captain America. It would be a little harder because his wings, but I think the best way to shoot him would be while he's flying, maybe, like skeet shooting. He's not superhuman, so he doesn't have the added benefit of enhanced senses, so I don't think it'll be that much more difficult. And just everyone on the Thunderbolt roster, with the exception of Ghost, so she can phase through shit. And I don't think US Agent has a shield. With a lot of these guys I just listed, the fights would pretty much end like this.
But if I were to come at you, it's all about how I... Okay, in that circumstance, maybe you got there a little bit faster. But if I... Okay. I got you again. What if I zigzag like this?
Oh, you know what? Agatha Harkness, and to a lesser extent, really any magic user. I think that I could just shoot them, right? Like, they aren't impervious to bullets. There isn't a spell that stops that. I mean, wouldn't they have to actively react to deflecting them? I would figure. I mean, we haven't seen Doctor Strange versus American Magic or anything like that. Nice grimoire dipshit, bang! Something like that, I don't know. But I get it. It would be super lame if they just had their muffin caps peeled back blue, and we can't give everyone a laser pistol or railgun, but they sort of get the same treatment nonetheless as people who have regular guns, as we saw in the beginning of Age of Ultron when they were just running through swaths of AIM? Was it AIM agents that they were running down? No, it was Hydra. AIM was Iron Man 3. Wow, what a waste of an evil villain organization. They really could have done a lot more with AIM. And a waste of Strucker as well. They could have done a lot more with so many more villains. It's like if you don't have a weird weapon or gimmick, you're a non-issue to these superheroes. The only time they fought a non-powered person was Zemo, but as soon as a super being got his hands on him, the fight was over. Even though it's kind of underwhelming that every time gunfire breaks out, it's like you're watching an airsoft match, but I understand that it would be super lame if they just fucking died or got hurt right off the bat whenever someone pulled out a pistol. And it's also safe to assume that humans in the MCU aren't the same kind of humans as we are in the real world, probably due to the Celestials and all that. Because I know there are videos out there of why Tony Stark's brain would immediately liquefy making the maneuvers that he does in his suit, or why there's no reason for Natasha to survive a fall like this, or for Riri to survive a fall like this, or for Kate to survive a fall like this, or for Yelena to tank an explosion to the face. Where's that going with this? Does the MCU have the Second Amendment? Are regular citizens allowed to arm themselves without having to become superpowered vigilantes? I mean, I have a gun. Would it make sense for me to even continue having one if I were a background character in a Marvel movie? Would it make sense to repeal the 2A as to try and diminish the amount of gun-based vigilantes in the States? But at the same time, criminals would still get their hands on guns, and I would think that if all guns were banned in the MCU, then it would just be replaced with even crazier weaponry. I mean, Ulysses Claw had a literal hand cannon. You got jerk-offs like Riri Williams bullshit crafting an Iron Man suit in her garage. Where did Clint and Kate get the resources required to bullshit craft their trick arrows. How did Sam get his wings? I know that he was a part of a secret military thing, but why was he allowed to keep them? And who gave him the upgraded version when he got his Captain America costume? Are we supposed to believe that he made it himself? What about the Vulture? He was literally just some guy. Mysterio, where did he get the funds to even create all those drones? How much is all this stuff costing? You mean I can get myself an Iron Man suit for the cost of a Big Mac? What's going on? One can assume that because there are superheroes that would deter gun violence, but we've only seen them operate in New York. And one has to assume that if a hero isn't shown yet, then they most likely don't exist. What's Florida City looking like in the MCU? Chirac? Did Black Panther fix the hood with the Wakanda Outreach Center? Do you think the current president is Republican or Democrat? Oh, my brain. I gotta end this video. Like and subscribe. Peace.